Hello, welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbao. And it starts off from the Ghana Premier League, where Mediama extended their lead at the top of the league table with a thrilling come from behind win against the relegation threatened King Faisal at the Akron Park in Takwa earlier today. Now, the Yellow and Moles showcased their resilience and determination, resulting in a spirited performance that sees them go 4-point clear at the top of the table, with King Faisal still in the relegation zone with 2 games to go.
Returns with a powerful header. Now here is Samuel Kusi with a long range. What a goal! King Faisal jumping to the lead. Wonderful finish from Samuel Kusi. Good delivery from Fatal. It wasn't dealt with well in the King Faisal area. Then Nuruddin rises and takes a powerful header. It hits the upright and mine to go past Nasiru. The cutback on his left foot and Joshua Ajman with a simple tap-in.
That win takes Mediama to the top of the table with second place Indiana Stars having a game this weekend. King Faisal are still in the relegation zone, and we'll see what happens there. But here are fixtures of the Ghana Premier League this weekend after today's game, and Kumasi Asante Kotoko will be in action. Likewise, Accra Heart of Oak and second place Diana Stars will also be in action. And of course, this continues on Saturday, and Tamale City will play Samatex. Diana Stars will then host Dreams FC. And then on Sunday, Bieni Gold Stars will play Kotoko Royals, and Legon Cities will host Accra Heart of Oak. There, Brecum Chelsea and Saint-Germain will also play the Great Olympics, and Accra Lions will also play Real Tamale United and Victoria United. Then on Monday, it will be Kumasi Asante Kotoko taking on Karela United. Now, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, has called for more foreign investment into the Ghana Premier League following the purchase of Accra Lions by football legend Lothar Matthäus. According to him, the purchase of majority shares by the former FIFA best player is a credit to the hard work and evidence of the potential of clubs in Ghana. This, he believes, should convince more investors to turn attention to the Ghana Premier League. He was speaking when the announcement for the purchase of Accra Lions was made.
First of all, let me congratulate Accra Lions for this very big milestone that you have achieved for yourself. And also our legendary Lothar Matthäus. I've been watching you since I was around 6 years for the wonderful thing that you did for Germany. And you are my fan, one of my fans. I've been following you, your laurels for your achievements and everything. We congratulate you for this big investment that you are doing for Ghana football. And we are very, very grateful for this. And want to appeal to others to emulate what you are doing by investing in this partnership and making sure that we develop talent for Mother Ghana and also for our club. Accra Lions has a very big achievement. It started not long ago as compared to the other clubs like Accra Sofoko and Asante Kotoko, but they've already made a mark in the Ghana football. So this is a very big step that you have taken, and we are very, very grateful for this. Thank you so much for this partnership. I'm grateful.
Now to Europe, where Lewis Hamilton has hailed Real Madrid player Vinicius Jr. as incredibly brave for his response to racist insult in Spain, and said the incident brought back painful memories from his own career in motor racing. Brazilian forward Vinicius Jr. called La Liga and Spain racist when he took to social media to complain about the abuse he suffered from the crowd during a match in Valencia on Sunday. And according to the 7-time Formula One champion, such things must be far away from the sport. Let's stay in England because the final round of matches will come off this weekend, and Ghana's Daniel Amati and Leicester City will be hoping to avoid relegation, a fate that has already befallen Southampton, where Kamaldeen Suleiman and Mohamed Salisu play. First, let's take a look at the fixtures, then we'll engage my colleague Daniel Coranting on what to expect in this final round of games in the English Premier League, and just a little bit of interest on Ghanaian players. Final round of fixtures, and all of them will be taking place simultaneously on Sunday. And you can see Arsenal and Wolves will play, Aston Villa and Brighton, Brentford and Manchester City, Chelsea and Newcastle, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest, Everton and Bournemouth, Leeds United and Tottenham Hotspur, then Manchester United and Fulham and Southampton and Liverpool will also play. So, but you can see over there, Leicester City, they'll play West Ham, and they will need to win to avoid a drop. But their fate is not entirely in their hands, and Daniel Crantain, my colleague, will explain to us why that is the case, and also brings us up to speed on the performance of some Ghanaian players like Jordan Ayew this season, Antoine Semenyo, Andre Ayew, and even Mohamed Salisu and Kamal Dean, how they fared this season. Daniel, thanks so much for joining us. I mean, let's just touch on that game, Leicester City versus West Ham, and of course, the Ghanaian interest there is Daniel Amate. Why is that game crucial for Leicester City this weekend?
So as it stands, 2 out of the 3 places in relegation have already been taken. We know the teams that are going down already, but the last spot is basically between Everton and Leicester City. Leicester City are currently in 18th position. They are 2 points behind Everton, who are 17th. Everton play at home against Bournemouth. Leicester City will take on West Ham, as you said. Now, what Leicester City need to happen is that they need to win their game and hope that Everton will drop points against Bournemouth. And in dropping points, that means even a draw will be enough, because Leicester City have a better goal difference than Everton. So that is where it stands. Leicester City and Daniel Amate need to hope that Everton do not win at home against Bournemouth. A game that on paper looks quite winnable for Everton, when you consider Bournemouth's recent form. Since they were confirmed mathematically safe in the Premier League, they've struggled for form a bit. They've lost against Chelsea, they lost against Man United, and they've been quite inconsistent. So we're looking at that fixture, the last home game, or the last game in the season at home, and we'll feel like this is an opportunity for them to stake a claim and remain in the Premier League. Leicester City, on the other hand, yes, we know that Daniel Amate has hardly played during the past couple of months, but he's Ghanaian and his interest is very much at heart for we'll be hoping that Everton, and then they will go out and get that very important victory.
Well, Daniel, Daniel, let's just stay on Daniel Amate a bit. For name's sake, let's just stay on Daniel Amate a bit. But I mean, how has his performance been this season? Because since Dean Smith came into the picture for Leicester City, we are yet to see him in the match they scored, and there are even rumours that he might be leaving the club. Well, I mean, what has happened to Daniel Amate in the last 5 games?
Yeah, Amate hasn't impressed too much. You can understand why he's been dropped to the bench. Now, he was dropped to the bench during Brendan Rodgers' time, and the new head coach has come in, and he's also hardly played him. He had a couple of high-profile mistakes during the first half of the season. He wasn't too impressive coming back from the World Cup. And when you consider Leicester City's situation, they had to act, and you can understand them for that. So, and he was sort of the scapegoat. He was dropped to the bench. And ever since, it looks like the head coach has been satisfied with the performances of the other 2 centre-backs who's been playing in his place. So, for that, it's really difficult to sit here and sort of form a concrete defense for Daniel Amate, because to be frank, when he was on the pitch, he wasn't really pulling his weight for Leicester City, and not just him, but the rest of his teammates also. But as I said, decisions like that need to be made by head coaches, and the fans just need to trust that at the end of the day, they'll be able to survive. If they survive, it's a good thing for them. If they don't, then they drop, and they're not.
Seems to have lost Daniel there, but briefly,
those players that he showed earlier.
Yeah, Daniel. So, I mean, talking about drop, we know Southampton have already dropped, and again, the gaining interest there is Kamaldeen Suleiman and Mohamed Salisu. Mohamed Salisu, we know, picked up an injury, and for that reason, has been out for quite a while. Kamal Dean was signed on a record transfer fee, but hasn't, impressed much, and is going to have to possibly, try and impress in the Championship. I mean, how has Kamaldeen fared since his move to Southampton? And do you think applying his trade in the Championship is going to help him? And even for Mohamed Salisu, what's going to be his fate?
Look, to be honest, it's not. We have to be frank. For someone who's coming with a record transfer fee, we expected a certain level of performances. He's not been able to do that. He's given 1 assist since he came in January. And
seem to have lost Daniel briefly there. We'll just see if we can reconnect to him. And Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying if you measure his performances against his price tag, it's been quite disappointing. £22 million for Southampton is quite a substantial amount of money, a record transfer deal. So the first 6 months have not necessarily gone his way. But again, it's the Premier League. If you look at what he did in France, he hadn't necessarily stamped his authority in the French league, and then he came to the Premier League. So it was always going to take a bit of time for him to be able to see him as being relegated. But he's still young, he still has a lot of potential, and you can't bet against him from to come back in English football and sort of cement himself as one of the mainstays. There's still a lot of time for him. For somebody like Salisu, he's already had a fantastic season last season, so he already has that pedigree under his belt. He finished with some of the best defensive metrics in the last campaign. We know he's had his problems with the club this season, and that has translated in him not necessarily being a mainstay in the starting lineup or in the match day squads. But he still has quality, and as I said, he's already had a season under his belt, and he's shown what he can do. So for him, it will be a bit easier for him to get a move outside Southampton to probably one of the big teams or one of the most stable teams in the Premier League. But for Kamaldeen Sulemana, it's quite unfortunate that this has happened during his first 6 months. But he still has a lot of time ahead of him.
Daniel, thank you very much. And well, as Kamaldeen Sulemana Mohamed Salisu dropped to the Championship, and wait to see if Daniel Amate will join them there with Leicester City. We know for sure that Andrea Ayew, Nottingham Forest have guaranteed their stay. Crystal Palace, Jordan Ayew and Crystal Palace, they performed creditably well and are also staying up. Likewise, Antoine Semenyo, Bournemouth. Let's head to Germany now because, again, it's also the final round of matches there. And joining me is DWTV's Chris Harrington. And Chris, you've been making a point about Thomas Tuchel and suggesting that he should be fired by Bayern Munich, particularly if Dortmund go ahead to lift the trophy come this weekend.
In my opinion, Bayern don't have a choice but fire Thomas Tuchel. You know, I think when you look at Thomas Tuchel's history, he's always butted heads with management. You know, this happened at Dortmund, happened at Chelsea, and it always led to the same thing. And I think that he's going to have a hard time convincing brass to keep him longer when he just basically had to drive straight. You know, right? Like the title, you know, was theirs in their grasp. And you could argue that they could have had a shot at the Champions League, you know, but that didn't work out well for them. Yeah, Thomas Tuchel, after their recent defeat, which was an embarrassing defeat, you got to consider the historical significance of their defeat. You know, first, prior to him, Julian Nagelsmann had a historic defeat when they got booted out of the German Cup by the hands of Gladbach 2 editions ago by 5 goals. You know, and if you have an overturned lead at halftime at home, you know, it's going to obviously stick in the minds of those making decisions, offering long-term deals to coaches. Now, you know, my instinct tells me Thomas Tuchel doesn't have an ironclad contract. Clearly, Julian Nagelsmann did not, the way he was fired, you know, over the phone or through the words of a journalist. You know, depends on what version, you know, you listen to. But after the recent defeat, Thomas Tuchel says the season is not over. Yeah, of course. You know, what else are you going to say? Of course he's going to say that. You know, the players are not performing. You know, they didn't show up. They were making foolish decisions on defense, which put them in the predicament they're in right now, which means that they potentially could see their reign come to an end. And I do think, I referenced the Titanic earlier in the week, I do think that once one player jumps the ship, these young core talents that they try to secure long-term deals with, you know, I'm speaking of Joshua Kimmich, Serge Gnabry, you know, they've been somewhat a core of like the new page of Bayern Munich, the new generation. Leon Goretzka, you can throw in that mix. I think players will be looking to depart when, you know, they can't figure out who's going to be the head. You know, I don't think Thomas Tuchel has done anything to gain the confidence of those calling the shots. So I do think that the rumors will increase of him being fired. And I wouldn't be shocked if they recall Julian Nagelsmann because they'll be paying him anyway.
Well, Chris, just interesting. Of course, we know Hertha Berlin, for Ghanaian interest, Kevin Prince Boateng, they've already headed down. But the question is, who will be joining them? Who is likely to join them at this final round of fixtures in the Bundesliga?
You know, that's always an interesting battle, the relegation battle, right? When you look at the standings, you know, you have 14, 15, 16, 17, all kind of tight. Augsburg at 14, 34 points. They're at Gladbach, which has been a tough opponent, but they're not going anywhere. They're in the middle. They're in what you would call Bundesliga purgatory. You know, no up or down, just very, very safe. Stuttgart at 15th. They're level with Bochum. They both have 32 points. Now, the relegation playoff spot is number 16. That's the golden number, you know. And because 15, 16 are level on points, 17, Schalke, a seasoned Bundesliga side who recently got promoted back to the Bundesliga, are on 31 points. So it's very tight. You know, when you look at their opponents, Stuttgart, they host Hoffenheim. You know, they're safe. They're not going anywhere. You know, that could be maybe lean in Stuttgart's favor. Bochum, their opponent concerns me because Leverkusen have an opportunity to punch their ticket to Europe, and I don't think they'll take that lightly because obviously there's a cash incentive to do that, exposure and so forth. You know, Bochum playing for survival, you know, you have nothing to lose, but that should be a very competitive match. You know, Schalke is at RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig, always a fortress at home, and I do think that RB Leipzig will continue being a fortress. There's no reason for them to slow down now. I do think they'll end their season on a high note. You know, it's going to be very interesting to say. You know, I know one thing's only guaranteed. Head to Berlin is going down. I do think that's a disgrace because they recently got some more money with an investor and all these things, and they have some legal issues. They might even get relegated even beyond the second Bundesliga, depending upon the outcome of this legal issue that's going on right now in Germany. So all in all, it should be a very competitive match day. A lot will be tuned in to the top and bottom of the action, something that hasn't happened in quite some time.
Chris, thanks very much for your time. And let's just take a look at those fixtures Chris was referring to, the final round of fixtures in the Bundesliga. And Bochum will be playing Bayern Leverkusen. Borussia Dortmund and Mainz will play, and Dortmund managed to win it. They are champions. Mönchengladbach will play Augsburg. Frankfurt and Freiburg will play then Cologne and Bayern Munich. Leipzig and Schalke, all for Union Berlin, Werder Bremen. Stuttgart and Hoffenheim and Wolfsburg and Hertha Berlin will play also there, all happening tomorrow, Saturday. That's all we have for you in Prime Sports with me, Razak. Please do have a lovely evening.